Hello, viewers, and welcome to another edition of the ILS Talk interview series. I'm DJ Ademola. Today on the program, we want to look at the linkage between research and development and sustainable food production in Africa. And to discuss this, we have on show today a lecturer at the Department of Agricultural Extension and Communications Technology, Federal University of Technology, Akure. Our guest today participated in the first Africanist PhD Academy held in Nairobi, Kenya in 2012. His research interest is focused on innovation studies as it relates to agricultural value chains and food security. Join me to welcome Dr. Akinwale Jonathan on the program.
It's my pleasure to present that.
Let's start with this basic question. The role of research and development to attaining sustainable food production in Africa and indeed in Nigeria. What place can we say research and development takes in attaining sustainable food production in Africa and indeed in Nigeria?
Yeah, research and development play a central role towards sustainable food production. And to understand it better, when we look at the world population, that is the growth in world population, and also the growth in food production, it helps us to understand the role that research and development is playing or that have to play. For instance, now it has been projected that the world population by 2050 will be 9 billion. And looking at the current scenario, we've discovered that 1 out of 8 persons are suffering from chronic hunger. And then also over 1 billion individuals, especially in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, like Nigeria, are suffering from various forms of malnourished diseases. And climate change also is there. All these are affecting crop production and also livestock production. That means with the projection increase in population, we need to produce more food. And then also, there's expected increase in urbanization, because it has also been discovered that we're going to have more people moving along the ladder to enter this middle income category. And that will mean that we have more people based on the increase in income, their income level. They will be able to avoid maybe like red meat and the likes. That means that livestock production also needs to be intensified. And that is what research and development should be able to take care of. That is, we have to research into high-yielding crop varieties. We have to research and come up with research outputs of improved livestock breed that will produce more meat and also that will also produce more milk for this expected growth in population. That is why research and development play key role toward food security in any world and in any nation that actually want to cope with this expected increase in population.
Okay. From your illustration, it seems to me that research and development is so central to attaining sustainable food production. So, if we bring that home to Nigeria, do you think the Nigerian government is doing enough in areas of research and development as it relates to food production?
Yes, Nigerian government is actually trying, because we have more than 20 research institutes that spread across the whole country. Okay. And we also have international research institutes that are actually collaborating with our local research institutes. And these international research institutes, like we have International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan, and we also have some other groups like that. They are trying to give trainings, that is capacity building, even to our own researchers as well. Also, we also have some international research institutes that are giving short courses to our own researchers here to come attend trainings over there. And it is expected that while coming home, they should be able to leverage on the training that they've attended. And based on our own research institutes, we have most of the research institutes that have their mandate crops. If you hear of Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria, for instance, now, one of the mandate crop of Cocoa Research Institute is to develop high-yielding cocoa that will be sustainable to our farmers. That is to improve the yield. Not only the yield, to also resist with all these climate change issues that is facing all of us. And then we have in Badegi also, Rice Research Institute, and some other research institutes like that. We have some that their own mandate is livestock, which means Nigerian government have all those facilities, have all those institutional based to actually enhance the output of research and development in the country. Although the gap is actually that the linkage between the research and the industry, or the linkage between research and the end users. That is where I think more effort should be laid, that is to bridge that gap, so that the output of the research is actually in line with the needs of the end users. Once that one is done with the institutional facility that we have, I think Nigeria is good to
Because I wanted to ask you, with all the institutions and the collaborations that, you know, from the statistics you painted at the beginning, that why do we now have so many malnourished children and, you know, malnourished related diseases in the country? With all the research institutions around and all that. So, I mean, I'm curious to know why.
Yes, that is another area that we need to actually mention. We have this low uptake of research output. In extension, services we refer to it as low adoption. That is, the issue is not non-existent of technologies to take care of all this that we've mentioned. We have high-yielding varieties of various crops, of rice, of cocoa, of maize and the likes, but we have low adoption. Which means the issue itself is not that the research institute have not produced enough, but the product has not been taken to the end user. In this instance, more often than not, these smallholder farmers. The research output is in the confine of researchers in the research institutes. And researchers themselves will not use all those outputs. It needs to be taken to the farmers.
Who is responsible for taking it to the farmers?
For taking it to the farmers. That is our own aspect of agricultural extension.
Okay.
Agricultural extension is the one that bridges that link between researchers and the farmers. We understand the language of the researchers and also the language of the farmers. Farmers do not understand the language of researchers. Researchers also do not understand the language of the farmers. We've been trained to communicate or to extend these proven technologies to the farmers. But the way most of this research are, maybe the way, the design and the conception of the research is one that is one of the reasons why this for this low uptake of this of the research. Because if, for instance, now researchers fail to actually recognize the felt needs of the farmer before going into the laboratory to come up with the research output, it may not meet the need of the farmer. What I'm saying is that there is a problem on the farm. For instance, now maybe the researcher on his own just felt as if maybe to end his promotion, just feel as if let me come up with high-yielding cocoa variety, for instance, now, not feeling the impact of the farmers, whether the farmer actually need that high-yielding at that particular time. The researcher may develop it, the farmers may not accept it. And that is the issue. That's why there should be rethinking. There should be a shift in the way that research also is being designed.
Okay. Let's go back to innovation studies. I know your research interests centered on innovation studies as it relates to agricultural value chains and food security. Is there a clear difference between innovation studies and research and development?
Research and development is a subset of innovation studies. Yes. Innovation cannot happen in isolation. Yes. And in innovation studies, for instance now, it is expected that all the actors must be maybe like bring all the actors together to identify the problem in the first instance. Like you diagnose the problem, maybe problem that's affecting the farmers, maybe the farmers low output and the like, maybe it is the variety that the farmers are growing that is the issue. You diagnose, and then after diagnosing that, you now come up with the invention. And after having the invention, you disseminate the invention, and after that, you now expect the output. Now, in innovation studies, this linear approach is the one that innovation studies or innovation is trying to address. Okay. The linear approach that, okay, the researcher will be in his laboratory, develop the solution to farmers' problems, and then extension will come, take the output, and take it to the farmer. And then if there is any issue on the farmer will get back to the extension, and the extension will relate it to the researcher. It's like that linear approach. It is what agricultural innovation is trying to address. Innovation does not see research and development, a subset of innovation, as that linear. There are some other actors that need to come in. For instance, the government also needs to come in, because government is one that will ensure that there are enabling environment for even the research and development to thrive. Government also needs to be involved, and then also processors need to be involved. Input suppliers need to be involved. Even farmers themselves need to be involved in the design, in the implementation, and even in the evaluation of the research output. That is what innovation is all about. Innovation does not see the farmers as passive observer in research and development. That anything that is thrown at them will be accepted. They are also active participants in innovation approach to research and development or to agricultural development. Okay. That is what innovation is trying to innovation sees the farmer also as participant, as actor, not just end users that have nothing, that have no say in the agricultural sector.
In your opinion, what is the, or let me say, what are the factors responsible for the low uptake of research in developing countries?
Okay, very good. When we look at most of the developing countries, we realize that the smallholders farmers who are producing more than 70% of our food crops reside in the rural areas. And let us look at the setting of rural area. What do we see? Low level of support infrastructure, poor road networks, poor telecommunication network. And then with that, it's like the farmers are inaccessible to these products of research and development. And also, if you want to leverage on ICT, most of them are not even connected. Although there is high penetration of GSM now, which at our end we are trying to use. We try to send SMS to the farmers, even in rural areas, even those who are in the interiors, once they have access to GSM. But it's not all of them. Therefore, poor infrastructure is a factor. And then another one is incompatibility of technology itself. That is, if, for instance, now we are bringing in technology innovation from advanced country, for instance, there is no way we will not bring technology from, we will not import technology. Because when we look at the level where we are in developing country, with that of developed world, we need to import technology. We need to catch up with them. But in catching up with them, it will involve adapting that technology to our local settings to fit in with the norms and values of the farmers. Because if what we are bringing in is not in tandem with norms and values of the farmers will not accept such. Yes. We have a situation when we are conducting a study in a state here in Nigeria. The government of that state initiated a scheme, this tractor hiring services for farmers. Good initiative, because we want to ensure that farmers adopt this mechanized farming in order to boost agricultural production. But we realize that despite the fact that the government did the needful in giving out the tractor through the cooperatives, because that's the best method at least to ensure high low repayment. But we discover that despite all those needful done by the state government, the farmers failed to repay the loan. We now went on to that research to discover the reasons. We now realized that the tractor imported was not actually compatible with our own soil. And the farmers just realized that the tractor are supposed to work as specified for 8 hours, could not work more than 4 hours here. And within some few months, they started developing technical faults. And to even make the matter worse, most of the spare parts of the tractor were not available in the Nigerian market. When we were doing that research, we were able to locate those tractors. Some are even grounded in the middle of the farm during farm operations. We realized that as assumed, that not that the farmers absconded with those tractors, but the tractors were not adaptable to our own settings. If the technology is not compatible with our own setting system, if it is being imported, it will not be. There will be low uptake by the farmers. And another one is poor funding. Yes, poor funding in most of developed world. We see that more than 3% of their GDP are being devoted to research and development. But what's happened in developing world like ours, even less than 5% of our GDP. And when there is low funding, there will be low motivation to the even researchers and even the extension engineers that are supposed to disseminate the information. Most of agricultural extension that we have in ministries and agricultural development program ADPs are unable to disseminate most of this output, this product, research output to the farmers because of lack of mobility. Yes. How would I expect farmers or extension agents in ministries to be using his meager resources to be transporting himself to meet the farmers? Unlike before that, there are incentives, there are motivations to move around the farmers. All those are not there. And these are actually affecting farmers' adoption of this technology, and that's why we have low uptake of proven technologies that have been discovered, that have been invented from reaching out to the smallholder farmers.
Okay, you have given me some, let me say, part of the services provided by agricultural extension agents. But I want you to elucidate the role of agricultural extension services in research and development.
Yeah. Yes, as I earlier mentioned, they understand the language of the farmers, as I said.
Okay.
And maybe from their own experience, extension agents are expected to be visiting farmers fortnightly and then hold meetings with them, understand their challenges, and then we usually have subject matter specialists that will address the farmers maybe on fisheries, on crop, on animal husbandry, any aspect of agriculture. And then if there's any issue, challenges, the extension agent will take it back to the researchers. Maybe for instance now, there was a time that this infestation on maize, yes, armyworm infestation. Yeah, that was 2017. Most of maize farmers were lost to that armyworm infestation. Yes, extension agents took that report to researchers
in Nigeria.
Yes,
okay,
and they work on it. And the good thing about that is that using indigenous knowledge, that is involving the farmers also. This thing that we experienced, has this happened before? They said yes. What did they use? They said they used ash, just ash and some other concoction sprayed on the farm. That is what we are saying. That even farmers on their own, they are intelligent. They have their indigenous knowledge. That is why when we want to disseminate or when we want to conceive research, we need to engage them. We need to know what they've been doing, and they've been doing right. And there may be some way of modification by researchers. But once the farmers know that this is the terrain that they've been working before, it will help them to adopt the technology. That one worked, and the armyworm infestation was able to at least to be addressed instead of affecting maize farm. That's one of the extension services role. But beyond that, we don't see presently extension agents are no longer, extension services are no longer as the conduit of dissemination of information. Only disseminate information and leave the farmers alone. No, they also act as brokers or facilitators. Yes, because after producing, for instance now, farmers usually have problem with market.
Okay.
Yes, currently the role of extension agents have changed from conduits of dissemination of information to brokers, to facilitators. If farmers have produce, for instance now, extension agents should be able to direct the farmers where to sell. And even before even planting, because that's the next level that extension is now, we are ensuring that our farmers do not grow and sell, but they grow to sell. That is, grow and sell means that after growing, after cultivation, we'll not be looking, where am I going to sell this produce? No, there is deviation in that part. We want our farmers to grow, to sell. That is, the farmers, the market will have been ensured. And this is the role of extension agent also now. That's the new role that extension agent is taking up. We link up with the processors. You know, farmers cannot consume the produce on their own. They need to sell it to processors. There's some processing company that require this raw material needs through of this agricultural produce. We link up with them. That we have some farmers group that are into maize production, for instance now, and also we'll be interested in doing business with them. If the company is interested